In this exercise, we'll use the bridge surface function to create a transition surface between interior curves on two surfaces. The transition surface is shown here. Then we'll use the trim surface function to trim the original surfaces back to the edges of the transition surface. We use the edges of that surface as the trimming entities. This gives the same end result as KeyVideo KCV6209. Sometimes you may want to generate a transition first prior to trimming the surfaces. You can then experiment with different transitioning between different ISO curves for different results prior to doing the actual trimming. So let's open up sample file KCV hybrid9.ckd. We're going to use the near ISO view. Let's click on the render wire icon. We're going to modify flow lines. We'll type 4 for the V curves and click on this cylindrical surface. That gives us our ISO curves. Let's go back to render your rod with wire. Let's click on the bridge surface icon. We'll use the defaults. Click on OK. We'll select this surface and then this ISO curve on the surface. Then this surface and this ISO curve. We want those vectors to follow in the same direction, so we're going to flip the second set there. Click on Accept. We want the second set of vectors to also flow in the same direction. Click on Accept. You can adjust the fullness of that transition and click on Done. And there you see the transition surface. You could play with this, make another one if you want. When you're done, you then go to the trim surface icon. We select curves on surface. Select this surface at the left end and then click on that ISO curve or the edge of that transition. Click on this surface and the edge of the transition curve or ISO curve at that point. Click on Accept. Here you have that complete transition. So let's recap. In this exercise, we use the bridge surface function to create a transition surface between interior curves on two surfaces. The transition surface looked like this. Then we used the trim surface function to trim the original surfaces back to the edges of the transition surface. We used these edges, indicated here as the trimming entities. This gave us the same result as we got in KeyVideo KCV6209. In this case, we created the transition first. This approach allows you to experiment with different transitions prior to trimming your parent surfaces.